ولقد يسرنا القرآن للذكر فهل من مدكر.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to the new short video tutorial of Arabic using Madinah Arabic books. We are currently in book 1, lesson 4 and part 6. We will pick up where we left off last time, which is the remaining of exercise 2 on top of page 23. The question in example 7 is أين المدرس? Where is the teacher? The answer is هو في الفصل. He is in the classroom. الفصل means the classroom. أين المدرس? هو في الفصل. Let's look at the individual words in our response here to see what they are. The first word is ضمير هو, which is معرفة and مرفوع اسم. في is حرف جر and الفصل is اسم مجرور. Now, as far as the functions of these words in a جملة اسمية sentence, هو is coming as مبتدأ of the جملة, and the جار مجرور في الفصل is coming as the خبر, which is the شبه جملة type خبر. Next example. أين ياسر? Where is ياسر? The answer is هو في المرحاض. We've got a new word. المرحاض is the restroom, as in the picture here. So هو في المرحاض means he is in the restroom. أين ياسر? هو في المرحاض. Again, if we analyze our response, we keep seeing a similar pattern, which I hope we are starting to get used to. مبتدأ is معرفة and مرفوع اسم, and خبر is جار مجرور شبه جملة في المرحاض. Number 9. الشمس والقمر في السماء. Here, الشمس والقمر means the sun and the moon. السماء is the sky. So together we are saying the sun and the moon are in the sky. Can you spot the خبر of the جملة اسمية here? The jar مجرور شبه جملة في السماء is coming as خبر. How about the مبتدأ? The مبتدأ of the sentence here is الشمس, which is another مرفوع and معرفة اسم. How about the rest of the words in the middle here? Here we can say wa is حرف. More specifically, it's called حرف عطف, which means connecting حرف, because it's connecting القمر to الشمس. That is why we call this wa حرف عطف. And we call the ism القمر that is coming after wa معطوف, which simply means connected. What is it connected to? It is connected to الشمس. You see, that is why al-qamaru is coming in the same state as Ashemsu. Both are marfu'. Ashemsu is marfu' because it is mubtada of the sentence, and al-qamaru is marfu' because it is ma'tuf or connected to Ashemsu. Try to keep such connections in mind if you can, but do not worry if you don't, because it is a bit advanced topic at this stage, and we will get back to it later inshallah. And finally, we've got man fil fasli. Al-faslu is the classroom. So we are asking, who is in the classroom? Man fil fasli. Let's go ahead and answer this question. How can we say the student is in the classroom? At-talibu fil fasli. Very good. At-talibu fil fasli. We are finished with this exercise, and we have already covered the rest of the page 23 a few video tutorials ago. So let's flip over to page 24 now. Here we are going to learn about two more harf jar type words. The first one is harf min, which means from. The second one is harf ila, which means to. Let's take a couple of examples. The ism al-baytu is the house. Now we want to say from the house. What do? We bring in harf jar, min before it, and because it is a harf jar, how will the end of the ism al-baytu change? Dhamma will become kasra, right? Marfu' ism becomes majroor. So we've got min al-bayti. Here is a quick phonetic rule that I'd like to let you know about. When we have the al article coming right after harf min, just to make it easier for us to pronounce it, the noon of min gets a helper fatha. So instead of having to stop at noon, when reading it like min al-bayti, we read it as min al-bayti. So originally, the harf min has sukun over the noon. But just to help us out to smoothly connect the two words when pronouncing it, the noon gets a fatha before al. Okay? What if we want to say to the house instead? What do I need to bring in before al-baytu? The harf ila, which means to, and the word al-baytu undergoes the same transformation from marfu' to majroor because of the harf jar ila. So we have a new jar majroor phrase, ila al-bayti, to the house. Not too bad, is it? Let's take another example. Al-masjidu. I want to say to the masjid. How do I say it? I bring in ila, so we have ila al-masjidi, another jar wa majroor. Very good. And I want to say from the masjid. It will be min al-masjidi. Again, the noon of min gets fatha because of the al article coming right after it. Now, before we start the dialogue on page 24, I'd like to let you know about one more thing. There are a few categories of ism in Arabic that cannot have apparent change in state. For example, the ism aina, which as we know means where. If I want to say from where, I bring in min before it, and because min is harf jar, it tries to change the end of ism aina to kasra to show the sign of majroor, but it cannot do it. You can think of such ism like aina as misbehaving ism. They are so stubborn that they just refuse to change no matter what. So aina stays aina in all states. For example, when it is in normal marfu' state, it is aina. When it is majroor or mansub, it still remains aina. So from where becomes min aina, not min aini. It will be min aina. Another example for such misbehaving ism is ma, what. If I want to say in what, I say fi ma. So ma doesn't change its ending and stays fixed in all states too. Another misbehaving ism is man, who. If we want to say to whom, we say ila man. See, it's not changing neither. Man is also one of these ism words that do not show signs of change in state. If you notice, all these ism are interrogative ism, or the type of ism that is used for questioning. They are called ismul istifham in Arabic. Ismul istifham. Let me list all ismul istifham that we learned so far. Aina, ma, man, and madha. These ismul istifham type words are one of the categories that do not undergo apparent change to show the sign of marfu', majroor, or mansub. They are frozen ism, so stiff that they stay the same no matter what. So do not be surprised if you run into some ism that behave like that, as it is an expected behavior of some ism words, okay? Let's go ahead and start reading the dialogue on page 24 now. Al-Mudarrisu, the teacher is saying, Min ayna anta? From where are you? See, here ayna is majroor, but it doesn't show the sign by taking the kasra ending. Anta is a dhamir, which means you for singular mudhakkar, masculinism. Min ayna anta means where are you from? Muhammadun, Muhammad is responding. Ana min al-Yabani, I am from Japan. The dhamir ana means I. Al-Yabanu is Japan. Min al-Yabani is another jar wa majroor shibhu jumla. You see here al-Yabanu is properly behaving. Unlike aina, it has changed its end to kasra and became al-Yabani because of the harf jar min coming before it. Then al-Mudarris, the teacher, asks, Wa min ayna Ammarun? And where is Ammar from? Muhammad responds, Huwa min as-Sini. As-Sinu is China. So Huwa min as-Sini means he is from China. Al-Mudarris says, وَمِنْ أَيْنَ حَامِدٌ? And where is Hamid from? Muhammad says, هُوَ مِنَ الْهِنْدِ. He is from India. Al-Hindu is India. So what is the mubtada of this ismiya sentence? Huwa. Very good. And what about the khabar? It is the jar majroor phrase min al-Hindi. It is a shibhu jumla type khabar. Al-Mudarrisu asks, Aina Abbasun? Muhammad says, Kharaja. He went out. Kharaja is fi'al, a verb. This is the first time we are encountering the verb in Arabic. In this lesson, we will encounter a couple of verbs primarily to understand the usage of harf jar with verbs. The main focus of learning is still on harf jar, not verbs. So we will not rush into learning all about verbs just yet. I'll give you a bit more general idea about verbs and verbal sentences in Arabic, but it will be brief and just an introduction. We will start talking more seriously about verbs after a few lessons, inshallah. A verb in Arabic is called fi'al. Fi'al, as you know, indicates temporary or time-dependent action, and it can be in the past, present, and future tense, or command. Kharaja here means he went out, or he stepped out. As you can tell from the translation, the fi'al kharaja is in the past tense. When we say kharaja, we are talking about huwa, which is the third person mudhakkar singular damir. So there is a built-in damir huwa in this word. You can think of this verb as kharaja huwa, but we don't really need huwa because huwa is built into this verb. It is already referring to huwa. Now, what is interesting is that the fi'al kharaja by itself is coming as a whole sentence here, with the meaning he went out or he stepped out. You see the power of Arabic? With just 3 letters, we have a whole sentence. So this is a verbal sentence or jumla fi'aliyya. But do you remember why it is so? Kharaja is a jumla fi'aliyya because by definition, verbal sentences start with a verb. And this sentence is starting with the fi'al, kharaja. That is why. Here's a quick introduction to a structure of verbal sentences. As we know by now, the first word in jumla fi'aliyya is a fi'al. And because fi'al indicates some sort of action, one of the things we look for in a verbal sentence is a doer of that action, which we call fa'il. So the fa'il is the doer of fi'al, okay? And fa'il comes after fi'al in Arabic verbal sentences. So in our sentence kharaja, where is the fa'il? The fa'il of this verb is hidden and built-in damir huwa that we just talked about. In this particular form of fi'al, the fa'il doesn't show up. But we know whom we are talking about. We are talking about Abbas here when we say kharaja, he went out. So if we really want to be explicit about it, we could have said kharaja Abbasun. Do you see where the fa'al Abbasun appeared? It is coming after the fi'al. But here, because we know whom we are referring to, we can keep the verb kharaja by itself that has hidden huwa, which is referring to Abbasun. So the fa'il of kharaja in this sentence is hidden huwa. Okay, this much is enough about fi'al and jumla fi'aliyya for now. And I'd like to say, do not worry if you haven't fully understood these new details about fi'al. We'll talk a lot more about fi'al and fi'aliyya sentences in a few lessons, and you will have a much better idea about them then, inshallah. So by saying kharaja, Muhammad is saying he went out, referring to Abbas. Then al-mudarrisu is asking, Aina dhahaba? Dhahaba is another verb. Dhahaba means he went. So by saying Aina dhahaba, al-mudarrisu is asking where did he go? Similar to kharaja, this past tense verb dhahaba has a hidden fa'il referring to huwa, third person mudhakkar singular ism. Muhammadun responds, dhahaba ila al-mudiri. Dhahaba ila al-mudiri. Dhahaba again is he went. Al-mudiru is the principal. So Muhammad is saying he, that is Abbas, went to the principal. ذهب إلى المدير. If we wanted to explicitly state the fa'il here, we could have used Abbasun and say ذهب عباس إلى المدير. This is a standard verbal sentence structure. It starts with fi'al, then comes the fa'il, and then we see more words like jar majroor here to give additional detail about the particular action. Again, ذهب عباس إلى المدير is Abbas went to the principal. Notice in English, fa'il comes first followed by fi'al. But in Arabic, it is the opposite. That is, fi'al comes first followed by fa'il. Al-mudarrisu. وَأَيْنَ ذَهَبَ عَلِيٌّ. And where did Ali go? The teacher is asking about another person now. The doer of the action here is Ali. And where did Ali go? وَأَيْنَ ذَهَبَ عَلِيٌّ. Muhammadun is saying, ذهب إلى المرحاض. Al-mirhadu is the restroom, so the translation is he went to the restroom. ذهب إلى المرحاض. Now, as we said in this جملة فعلية, the فعل is ذهب and فاعل is hidden هو. But can we bring the فاعل علي explicitly here? Where can we insert the فاعل علي in this sentence? After the فعل ذهب, right? That is the most appropriate place for فاعل. So we could say ذهب علي إلى المرحاض. In this verbal sentence, we've got ذهب coming as فعل, علي is فاعل, and إلى المرحاض is just a jar majroor providing extra information about the action ذهب. Ali went to the restroom. ذهب علي إلى المرحاض. Alright, we are at the end of page 24. Let's stop here for now. Next time, we'll try to cover page 25. Until then, Assalamu alaikum.